Happy holidays, everyone. This is Jeff Adams from the Icebox Radio Theater, just coming on with a really brief technical note before we begin this week's podcast. This adaptation of the classic ghost story Smee was partially recorded with a technique called binaural recording. Now, I won't go into all the technicalities of how that works, but just know that binaural is a way of recording sound the way the human ear hears sound. It sort of does stereo one better. But the thing about binaural, you don't really pick up the effect very well unless you listen on headphones. So I understand if you're listening in the car or you're listening on speakers somewhere, but I really would suggest to get the full effect of this adaptation of Smee that you switch to earbuds or headphones, or maybe even listen a second time with earbuds or headphones, because we think, especially given the content of today's story, a spooky old dark house ghost story, binaural really works very, very well. Just thought I'd let you know, so without further ado, here is Smee from the Icebox Radio Theater.
It was a gloomy day when I first saw the house of Usher.
Wish.
Foolish and wicked.
Wish, damn you!
I wish my son alive again.
In his house relay, dead Cthulhu waits, dreaming.
Good evening. I am Dr. Graves. Welcome to
Mystery on the Air.
Good evening. All across the northern reaches of the tiny celestial marble we call home, this is the time of darkness. Midwinter is upon us. The shortest day of the year is nigh. Commuters and school children only see the sun at lunchtime, and everywhere people are preparing for some sort of festival to brighten their otherwise dreary, frozen lives. But not all these festivals deck the halls with greenery and bright lights. Some embrace the darkness with the tradition of a ghost story. Rest assured, we have no Jacob Marley or Christmas Past to offer tonight. Tonight, we have a much simpler tale. The tale of an old dark house, where 10 years ago, this very night, a group of holiday revelers took to playing games and ended up wrapping up a package for the coroner. Tonight, on Mystery on the Air, we offer a new adaptation of the tale by A.M. Burrage. Here is Smee.
Tony? There you are.
Caught me, Mrs. Krenshaw.
Are you hiding in here?
Oh, I suppose I am. It is supposed to be hide and seek, isn't it?
Well, yes, but you weren't there at the beginning, so you're not part of the game. You're being very naughty.
Just needed a little time on my own.
Well, that's silly. It's Christmas. Come join the games. We're starting a new round in the drawing room.
If it's all the same to you, I'd rather not.
I know what this is. British holiday traditions are too silly for our sophisticated American guest, is that it?
Well, that's not fair. You know as well as I do, I've lived in the UK for 14 years. Had more Christmases here than at home during that time. Besides, I rather prefer the British traditions of games and ghost stories to the American one of maxing out your credit cards.
I fear my countrymen may be catching up in that regard. May I sit?
It's your house. But don't you have guests to attend to?
Oh, they can do without me for a round. I could do with a sit down. And I'm a bit worried about you. What is wrong, Tony? You look positively pensive. Homesick?
Oh, maybe a little. But it's not that. Christmas always gets me in a mood. I'm sorry.
Don't be. We all get a little blue at some point during this time of year. I think it's all that forced revelry. The expectation that one has to be jolly.
Oh, strange coming from someone whose Christmas parties are the talk of the village.
Oh, don't let that fool you, dear. I'm just as susceptible to moods as you mere mortals. But do tell me, what has you so blue?
Well, I suppose you could say it's the second of those queer British traditions.
It's a ghost story, you mean?
Yes,
You don't like ghost stories at Christmas time?
not when they're real.
Oh, Tony, please. I get the chills when people talk like that.
I'm sorry. I won't say any more.
Well, I didn't tell you to stop. I'll just curl up in this blanket and listen.
Oh, maybe it would do me good to tell it. I haven't mentioned it to anyone in 10 years.
You're serious, aren't you?
Yes,
A real...
live Christmas ghost story. Even involves games. I wonder, have you ever played a game called Smee?
I don't believe I have.
I played it. Once. At the Sangstons. You know them, Jack and Violet?
Oh, yes, of course. Lovely people. Canadians, yes? They live in that great rambling house up the hill.
That's them. It was Christmas, 10 years ago now. I was fairly new in country, and the Sangstons invited me up to a party, rather like this one. Violet always loved playing mother hen to all the expats in the district, so there were quite a few of us there. Canadians, a few Americans, one guy from South Africa. I knew a lot of the people, and I was introduced to those I didn't know, all except for one woman. She was tall, dark-haired, striking, if you want to know the truth.
You were smitten then?
Oh, I don't know. I was curious. Let's leave it at that. Unfortunately, she was sitting way down at the other end of the table at dinner. I couldn't even hear the conversation around her. Luckily, I was next to Mrs Gorman. You know her.
Oh, of course. Lovely woman.
Even she couldn't be much of a help.
Oh, Tony, she's lovely.
Oh, she is indeed. But that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry. My head's someplace else. What was your question?
Who is she, Mrs. Gorman?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Oh, come on. You know everybody.
Eventually, I know everybody. But at the moment, that lovely creature is not on my list. Do you want me to do a little research for you, Tony?
I can do my own research, thank you.
Are you sure?
If you're looking for amusement, I believe there's games after dinner.
Oh, yes. But matchmaking with my strapping bachelor friends is so much more fun.
Well, don't forget to get one for yourself.
Oh, Tony!
Well, we finished dinner, and the talk turned to games. Reggie, that's Jack and Violet's girl, was only about 17 then, and she was very keen on playing...
Hide and seek. Can we, Dad? Please?
I don't know, dear.
Oh, come now, Jack. It sounds innocent enough.
Well, we should play with the lights on for safety.
But, Dad, we have to play in the dark. It's no fun otherwise.
Well, it won't be fun if someone gets hurt.
We'll be careful.
Well, before we start, I feel it only fair and wise to tell you all something.
Jack, no.
I'm afraid for safety's sake, I'm going to have to insist.
What's this all about, Jack?
Come with me. Come upstairs, and then we'll see if you still want to play hide and seek.
At that, our host guided us all up the stairs to an upper floor of the house. He had us all gather round a rather ordinary-looking door.
All right. Is everyone here?
Yeah, we're all here, I think.
Good. Now, at the risk of ruining everyone's good time, I had to show you this door. It's for your own safety.
It's a staircase.
Yes, the old servant stairs. We don't use them anymore, but you'll notice this door is more or less identical to the others in the hall.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Every other room on this floor is a bedroom or a bath. If you were to mistake this door for one of those, in the dark, it could be deadly. It was deadly once.
What do you mean, Jack?
Well, Tony, I mean just what I said. When we bought this house, the seller told us the whole story. Had to. Full disclosure laws and all that. About 10 years before we moved in, there was a party here, a Christmas party, and the guests took to playing games, hide and seek, specifically, in the dark. There was a young girl up in this hallway looking for a place to hide. She thought she heard someone coming, so she ran through this door.
Was she...
Yes, broken neck. Still want to play hide and seek in this house?
I don't really think I do, no.
What about another game? The opposite of hide and seek. Smee.
What?
Smee, that's what the game's called.
Smee? That's an odd sort of name.
It's a contraction of it's me. When I explain the rules, it will make more sense. It's way safer than hide and seek because there aren't a lot of people running around trying to get away from each other. The person who's it hides and everyone else goes looking for him.
All right, you have our attention. How does it work?
Well, you start by making a bunch of identical slips of paper, one for each person in the party.
So let's see, 10, 11... Oh, there are 13 of us.
So we make 13 identical pieces of paper. 12 of them are left blank, but one of them has the word Smee written on it. Everyone draws a paper out of a hat and keeps it secret. Then we turn out all the lights in the house.
Is that really necessary?
It's fine, Dad. You showed them the door. Anyway, after the lights are all out, the person who got the paper with Smee on it creeps quietly out of the room while it's dark, see? He or she sneaks away and hides. Then everyone spreads out in the house looking for him or her. Now, while you're looking, when you find somebody in the dark, you ask them, Smee? And if they are not Smee, they respond by saying Smee back to you. But the person who is Smee, they don't say anything. And if you find that person, you sit down in their hiding place with them and wait.
Wait for what?
For everyone else to find you.
Oh, I get it. By and by, you'll have a whole crowd there. Oh, I think we used to play this when I was a girl, only we called it sardines.
Seems fitting. If Smee hid in a small cupboard, we'd have a job fitting 13 people into it.
Shall we play?
Wait, how do we know who Smee is?
We draw the slips of paper at the beginning.
Oh, that's right. How silly of...
Now, in a much better humor, we all headed down to the drawing room, started the game.
All right, everyone. Ready? Lights out now.
I think I hear someone leaving the room. Shh. Oh, that's right. I'm not supposed to talk.
It was a lot of fun at first, bumping into each other in this huge dark house, trying not to laugh or make noise. I was having a great time. The first round ended with all of us gathered on a cramped staircase. Jack was the forfeit, the last one to find Smee that round. When he finally did, that's when the first strange thing happened.
Well, do I need to ask Smee?
You're last, Dad. You're the forfeit.
All right. Let's make it official, though. I'll light a match and count you all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Huh.
What is it?
Well, I've counted 13, and I haven't counted myself yet. That's strange. Here. Ow!
Light another match, please. It's dreadfully dark in here.
Here, I'll count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 again.
You must have already counted yourself.
No, I made sure not to. These matches aren't lasting long enough.
Dad, I have a torch.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Counting you, I got 13, including you.
Yes, I did as well that time. Oh well, trick of the light or something.
Except, well...
What is it?
Captain Ransome?
Yes?
Wasn't there someone sitting on the step next to you?
I don't believe so, no.
I could have sworn I saw someone when Jack lit that first match. Can we go to the drawing room, please? I'm getting a chill.
We didn't think too much of it. That woman was the nervous type, and had been complaining about the darkness the whole time during the game.
Oh, careful, please.
The next round, I drew the Smee, but I couldn't find a hiding place before Violet discovered me, so that round didn't take very long at all. We were all heading back to the drawing room to begin another round when young Reggie pulled me aside.
Excuse me, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, Reggie? What is it?
Can I talk to you a second? In here, away from the others.
What is it?
I don't want my mom and dad to worry.
All right. So, what's it all about?
Just now, during the last round, something weird happened.
What?
Well, I was looking for Smee way over in the east wing, and I found this old wardrobe in one of the bedrooms. I thought, gee, that'd be a great place to hide.
Okay.
So I opened it up, and right away I could sense someone was there. I reached out and touched a hand. A girl's hand, I think. So, of course, I asked, Smee? And she didn't answer.
Well, that's cheating. I mean, I was Smee the last round.
I know that now, but I didn't then. So I'm standing there in front of that wardrobe thinking I'd found Smee when it happened.
What happened?
Well, I don't understand it, but I suddenly had a strange, cold feeling. I can't describe it, but I felt that something was wrong. So I turned on my torch, and there was nobody there. Now, I'm sure I touched a hand, and nobody could get out of the wardrobe because I was standing in the doorway. What do you think?
Well, I think you imagined that you touched a hand.
I knew you would say that. Of course I imagined it. That's the only explanation, right?
We went back to the drawing room. Young Reggie looked pale as a sheet, but she was game for one more round of Smee. You could tell the party was tiring of it. The energy in the room was at a low ebb. Ever since Jack had miscounted us on the stairs, there was a kind of tension in the room, a layer of fear just under the surface. I decided to keep the story that Reggie had told me to myself. And despite the low spirits, everyone insisted on one more round. We wanted to end the game on a high note, so we drew the slips of paper again. We all looked at our paper, then looked at each other. There were no smiles in the room now. And then Jack hit the lights. Now, I've always been blind as a bat in the dark, so it wasn't long before I was completely lost. I was inching along a hallway when I came to a set of heavy curtains. I recognized them as belonging in front of a window seat in front of a large window that overlooked the back garden. I knew where I was then. As I felt along the curtains, I felt a pair of human knees on the other side. I pulled the curtains aside, just enough to peek through, and said, "Smee?" Even with the window, it was pitch black on the window seat, but I could just make out the figure of someone sitting there. A woman in a light-colored dress, white or cream. Since she hadn't responded to my question of Smee, I assumed she was it. So I tucked the curtains in behind me and took a seat next to her. She said nothing. I know we're not supposed to talk, but what's your name?
Brenda Ford.
Ah, I think I remember you from dinner. You were about the only person I didn't get an introduction to. I'm Tony Jackson.
Oh, right. We're supposed to be quiet. So sorry. You've known the Sangstons long? Right, quiet. Right. I don't hear anyone in the hall. I know it's against the rules, but I don't think a chat would hurt anything. I'm in advertising. You?
School.
Oh, of course. Funny you coming to a party with all these old fogies. And foreigners to boot. I'm an American, did I mention? State of Minnesota. That's way up north. Always a white Christmas every year. Although, I'm getting quite fond of your English Christmases. I can't remember the number of years. Oh, someone's coming.
Smee? Smee? Oh, Tony, it's you. Splendid. I ended up searching by myself, and I was getting very nervous. Are you Smee?
No, she's on my other side.
Hello, Smee. How long have you two been here?
Not very long. I'm lucky I found her before breaking my neck in this house.
Oh, I know. It's really not safe. Besides, there's something... I don't know.
What is it?
There's something very odd about this game, Tony.
I have to agree with you.
It's just so unhealthy feeling, slinking around in the dark as we are. Oh, and that story of that poor girl.
Don't mention that. I'll have nightmares.
Oh, I think I have already started. Oh, but we're breaking the rules, aren't we? We're supposed to be quiet. Sorry, Smee. Oh, I should like a nice game of cards by the fire next.
That would suit me fine.
You know why we tell ghost stories at Christmas time, don't you?
No, tell me.
It's a holdover from the old pre-Christian days. Midwinter, you know. The longest nights of the year. The days were short. You spent so much time around a fire, probably watching the shadows dance on the sides of cave walls.
Caves?
Well, huts then. Point is, it's no wonder we tell a spooky tale or two.
Keep the evil spirits at bay.
Somewhat. But you know what else they say, Tony? They say midwinter is the time of year when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, and that maybe someone or something could step across.
Somehow, Mrs. Gorman, I don't want to think about that in a window seat in a dark English house so late at night.
Not late, dear. Not even 10. It's just the sun's been down for 6 hours already. Oh, they're taking an awful long time.
Yes, I can't believe it.
There you are. We've been waiting for you.
Reggie, that's not how you play, and you know it. Get in here.
And turn off that flashlight. That's cheating.
What are you talking about?
You found Smee. Come on.
I didn't find Smee. I was Smee. I was hiding way over by the kitchen. Everyone else found me ages ago. We finally gave up on you two and went looking for you.
You can't be Smee. She's Smee.
I told you I was Smee. Mrs. Gorman, you were mistaken.
I wasn't Smee. It was this girl. Well, that's strange.
What's wrong?
There was someone on Mr. Jackson's other side. I touched her and everything. There's no one there.
No, there is not.
Tony, what's wrong?
With everything else that's happened tonight, this kind of joke is not funny. Is everyone in the drawing room, Reggie?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to give that girl a piece of my mind. I was in a fury. I mean, with all the weird things that had happened that night, I was not in the mood for this kind of nonsense. That girl, the tall dark one at dinner, she had to be the girl next to me in the window seat. And then, before Reggie found us, she slipped away. Well, my nerves were about shot, and I was spoiling for a fight. Hey, Miss Ford? Miss Ford!
Tony?
Miss Ford, look at me.
I beg your pardon?
What was that all about, huh?
Well, what are you talking about?
That little disappearing act back in the window seat. That's not how you're supposed to play the game.
Tony, come here a second.
I want to know what she has to say.
Tony! May I see you in the next room, please? Fine.
I'm sorry, I got a little upset. It's this stupid game.
You're not making sense. If you didn't want to play the game, you should have just said so, not floundered around making accusations at the other guests. I know what this was about.
What?
Oh, don't be so coy. We find you and Mrs. Gorman all tucked away on a window seat. Honestly, Tony, she's married and you're acting like a teenager.
I beg your pardon?
I will thank you not to engage in your little liaisons in my house when a party's going on. For heaven's sake, there are kids here.
You don't understand what happened.
No, I really think I do.
You don't. That girl hid in the window seat, and when I found her, she didn't respond when I said Smee. So I sat down. Mrs. Gorman did the same thing. The girl didn't say anything then either. So there we were, stuck for I don't know how long. And then the coup de grace, when Reggie finally finds us, that Ford woman had slipped away.
What?
That Ford woman, Brenda Ford. That's what she told me her name was. She led us to believe she was Smee, then slipped away when my back was turned. Mrs. Gorman and I were playing the game to the best of our knowledge. It's that Miss Ford who ruined things.
Brenda Ford?
Yes. Go yell at her if you want to yell at someone. I've had enough. What? What is it?
Tony, that woman out there is my niece visiting from Toronto. Brenda Ford is the name of the girl who died falling down the back stairs 10 years ago tonight.
Ooh. Tony?
Yes, Mrs. Krenshaw?
Did that really happen?
You don't believe me?
Would you care to investigate the goose flesh on my arms? Of course I believe you, but really, Tony, was that just a story?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. You did have me going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a ripping good one, that's what that was. You must tell the others. Well, on second thought, maybe keep it to yourself.
Yes.
I think it wouldn't have been so bad, except, look.
What is it?
Well, this room. It has a window seat covered by a heavy curtain right there.
Yes, I'd noticed that.
Well, dear, I'm just going to go see to the guests. Do come down and join us. Maybe we'll break up into fours and play bridge by a warm fire,
That would be nice.
Be down soon.
Smee. Smee. Are you there? There now. Doesn't that put you in the mood for a little Christmas spirit? It does me. Or did you think I meant the other kind? Whatever the case, please accept this little holiday offering as a gift from us to you. And may we wish you a very scary Christmas and a happy new year. Smee was based on the story by A.M. Burrage, adapted for audio by Jeffrey Adams. The cast, in order of appearance, included Douglas Skrief as Tony, Aela Mackintosh as Mrs. Krenshaw, Brenda Ford and the Girl, Diane Adams as Mrs. Gorman, Gavia Yount as Reggie, Jim Yount played Jack, Beth Lowthian was Violet, Summer Fromke played Mrs. Willoughby, and Justin Kapla was Captain Ransome. Editing, location recording, and post-production by Jeffrey Adams. We trust you will rise from your long winter's nap and join us again for Mystery on the Air.